What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Golf is Business Live. Powered by Tagmarshal. Come on, can we get everybody? Come on. Yeah. Yes, make some noise. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. It's a joy to be here. This is my third or fourth season? Fourth season of Golf Business Live, and talking with the people who make the golf industry what it is, which is the most exciting sports and entertainment business there is. We're going to start off with House Chat, where we talk with two people who are into the game and talk to them about why they're into the game, what's going on with the game, where it's going. First, we have a guy who is multi-talented, could be doing almost anything he wants, but decided to do golf. From Reimagine Golf, Clark Burckle, and my cousin over there, Marc Williams from Toptracer. Thank you both for being here. I'm going to start with you, because I sort of teased it up a little bit and said that you could do anything you want to, basically. You were an accomplished swimmer. Am I right? Accomplished swimmer?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So when I say accomplished swimmer, I'm talking NCAA championships. I'm talking 2012 Olympics. So you really were quite something as a swimmer.
I guess.
This is going to go well, I can tell.
It's going to be great. I'll open up.
It's very easy. So you got from a stellar career in swimming to golf. How did that happen?
So, sort of happenstance. My family has been in the recreation business. We own tennis, swim, and fitness clubs. Mm-hmm. And I moved home back to Louisville, so I lived out west. I swam out west, lived out west, went to school there, worked out there, and moved back home about 7 years ago to help my dad run those businesses. And we ended up selling them in early 2023, and in the meantime, had the opportunity to buy a driving range, which, I love playing the game of golf, but I didn't know anything about it. And we thought about it for a little bit, and then we decided it'd be a lot of fun. And so in the past 3 years, we've just really been able to develop the concept, and my handicap has gone down a little bit, and I've learned a lot about the operation of the game too. But our family has always been really involved in sports and recreation. My sister was also an Olympian. My parents both played Division I sports. So we really see the value in teaching people when they're younger how to play sports. The character that it builds, and also just the camaraderie. And so we really enjoy working in different recreation businesses, and now we're in golf.
So tell me a little bit about your business. What exactly is Reimagine Golf? How have you helped to reimagine how we learn and how we play golf?
Absolutely. So when we bought our driving range, it was a little bit beat down, but it was a beautiful piece of land. Yeah. And, it ran off a cash register. There were wonderful people working there, but there wasn't a lot of drive, I'd say, behind building the business. And so we thought, how can we fix this property? How can we, make it operate better? And how can we invest in whether it's technology or just the user experience to kind of make the driving range more of a destination spot to really get people into the game? And so, that 3 years later, after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with my wife Mallory here and our team back home, we've just developed the property a lot. And so, what we like to focus on is a better user experience, better team culture, and implementing technology like Toptracer at our ranges. And we recently acquired a second range about 20 minutes north in New Albany, Indiana. Our first one's in Louisville, Kentucky. But the plan is to find these ranges that are, beautiful pieces of property that communities love but just need some love, and really invest in those properties and make it, a better business and a better experience for our customers.
And what it appears to be, from my perspective, when I see places with Toptracer, you have the ability to focus not only on the recreational golfer, but the very serious golfer and everybody in between. You really have something for everyone there.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a funny assortment of customers. There's anybody from the man with the van, who's a daily regular, to a family with their kids, to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies in Louisville that come down to play, to people that are on a couple of tour players have come through, past professional athletes. Rajon Rondo was down there taking lessons the other day, this past summer. But no, it's just really cool because you have your grinders, and then you have your people that are getting introduced to the game, and then you have your families that are looking for maybe an hour of their day to spend some time together. And we've been able to address all of them.
And that's a wonderful thing when you can help families stay together too,
Yeah,
and do something at the same time that everybody gets an enjoyment out of. That's a great thing. And cousin,
my brother from another mother.
there you go. So, Top Golf is a part of your technology, and it's become a part of so many ranges technology. Let's talk about your personal journey and then your journey with Top Golf. How did you get into golf in general?
I was in sports and entertainment for a long time. I was with the NBA for about 10 years.
Wow.
And someone who is now high up in Top Golf worked with me for many years at the Houston Rockets. And like them, they kind of not only saw that golf was going in a new, exciting direction, but in terms of hospitality, sports venues, something that was going to your point, kind of cater to everybody. I kind of caught wind on that early on in the early days, quote unquote, of Top Golf. Being with the NBA was always kind of my dream job. But at the same token, I wanted to always have the opportunity to be at something early stages in terms of being on the forefront of what was next. So I joined in the early days of Top Golf and spent about 6 years with Top Golf, but was a casualty of COVID, just like many others in 2020.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was unfortunate for some people, but at the same time, as many of you guys know, it was fortunate for golf. And it was a boom for the golf industry. And even before I left Top Golf in 2017, Top Golf had actually acquired Toptracer. At the time, they were called Protracer, which was more than anything just a broadcasting company that had done the Spanish Open, they had done the Masters, and Top Golf kind of quickly realized that they wanted to implement a new version of our technology that went beyond the microchip ball that many of you may know in terms of how it's associated with their targets, and have something that was actually tracing the ball like they had seen on television. So that's kind of how it started in its early days, was more or less having another type of technology that could be built into the Top Golf experience at our venues. But then they quickly realized that because golf had become more for everyone, that it was something that they wanted to carve out a side of that business at a driving range or at a golf club. So they wanted to implement that same similar camera technology that they use on the broadcast. It's literally the same hardware, and implement that on a range to have what I think is more of a bridge, you know, because I think a lot of people understand what Top Golf can do in terms of introducing those that have never swung a club in their life. But then also what everything leads up to that is kind of this gap, because now I've been excited by the game of golf. I've come out to Top Golf with friends or family, co-workers, but now I'm almost like a deer in headlights when I get that excitement to go play golf when I hit the first tee. And so we wanted to create that bridge by having a Toptracer range experience that, to your point, gives you tools to work on your player performance. You're not quite over there on the golf course, but it's not quite Top Golf either.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you something that you may not know. I received the very first call that Top Golf made in the United States of America. It was when I was working at the driving range at East Potomac Golf Course in Washington, D.C. They made a call, said, hey, we want to put our Top Golf technology in your golf course. They wanted everybody to see it when they were flying in. And we loved it. The customers loved it. The National Park Service did not love it, so we did not put it in. It came in originally at a driving range that was very near ours, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
It really has been spectacular growth, and I feel the same way about Toptracer. That same thing, just phenomenal growth. Where are you now in terms of ranges and other facilities that you are at? Because I don't even know where you can go anywhere right now.
Yeah, at this point, that's the goal, right? Like we want to be inclusive of everyone that is a golfer, wants to become a golfer, number one, but we don't want to exclude any sort of facility, right? So you can have what is a phenomenal experience at somewhere like Different Strokes at Clark's Place, or it could be at East Potomac, right? It could be at any of the National Links Trust, properties. It could be at Langston. But yes, at this point, that's the ultimate goal, right? Is the technology is versatile enough to, as long as you've got 300 yards, it could be, though it used to be farmland, it could be an existing driving range. It really doesn't matter, right? And that kind of caters to who our customer is so drastically across the board.
Yeah.
That could be a standalone range. That could be a high-end private club. That could be a daily fee municipal course. So there's really no one that it can't cater to at this point, and that's our goal, going into every year.
And then Clark, going back to your place, your properties, How do you see that type of technology and other technologies like that affecting your business? Because it's not just the everyday grinded out golfer who's trying to get from a 12 to a 10 or from a 10 to an 8. It's all kinds of people who just like to hit a golf ball every once in a while. How are you using these type of technologies to build your business and to eventually go, I guess, as national as they are?
So it's, what we did was we ended up building a structure on part of our range. We covered the tees and we added Toptracer to it. And I'd say initially, people, they weren't quite sure what to expect, but as soon as they used the technology, they were hooked, and it was across the board. I mean, whether it was somebody that brought down their kids and they played Go Fish, or a group of buddies that played one of the courses. Now we have leagues. We have a bunch of events. One of our best events is Women's Golf Day. We've had that a few times, and it's been big. But it just really helps us activate the property and just get people more involved, than just coming in and buying a bucket and hitting off the grass.
And
right?
I'll interrupt you there and say, is there any one single product that you see being used more than anything else that's maybe a surprise to you? Like, I didn't realize that was going to be as popular as it was.
Our number one used product on Toptracer is the practice module. We'd like for more people to use it as groups, whether they're playing courses. The courses are ranked second, and then after that is closest to the pin and long drive. I personally like to do the long drive with some friends just to see if we can compete on the spot. But I guess the main point there is we're able to capture all this data that we couldn't capture before. And so in using Toptracer, we've taken our email list from about 1,000 people to 5,000 people. Wow. Because when they do sign in, it's different than a quick sale at the window or just buying a bucket of balls through an automated dispenser. We can actually capture their user information and then better target them with deals, offerings, announcements, events, whatever it may be. Yeah. And so we've really been able to grow our presence because of the technology. And that's been a huge difference maker for us.
I just want to go quick in the audience. Anybody who operates a driving range or any type of facility like that? Anybody? Anybody? Not too many out there. But to anybody who does, that's going to be a powerful thing to take your range from X thousand to X plus 5,000 to X plus 25,000 eventually. Let's talk about the future then, because right now you're at driving ranges, you're doing the things that you're doing. What do you see? What's next for Top Golf, for Toptracer?
I think really we want to exponentially grow some of the same pillars that we've had in place already, right? To your point, kind of like you've talked about, we never want to get to a point to where we're eliminating the core golfer and their interest in terms of player performance, but we also have to continue to capitalize and get aggressive on those that are either non-golfers or beginner golfers, right? And so that's really twofold, I think. On the core golfer, they're going to continue to get obsessed by everything in terms of their performance being tech-driven, right? They want to see the numbers, and they like that reward. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more gratifying when you actually have the data to back it up. Mm-hmm. That means that where they maybe would have waited until next month because they beat a bunch of balls and there really wasn't anything to back it up in terms of that improvement. We're putting in what we call a Toptracer coach platform, which not only allows the golfer themselves to have a much more data-driven experience, but it's really just based around the instructor to have a much more visible experience to what is happening with that player, whether that's on the spot live to see what's happening and give suggestions on the fly. That coach could be sitting at home on his couch while the golfer is out there going over the lesson that was literally sent to him via the Toptracer coach platform.
And we're not saying that golf coaches do sit on there.
By all means, they're not lazy by any means, Bobby. Go. Sorry. But that, I think, is the core piece, is at the end of the day, there is a core golfer that wants to make sure that they continue to have a tech-driven experience, that they can see those results instantly. But in this case, with Toptracer Coach, just as an example, we want it to be a lot more comprehensive and even a lot more drilled down with custom assignments that can be kind of a pass-or-fail functionality, right? You've got to hit 8 shots out of 12 that are going to be at 8-yard proximity to the target that we set aside,
right?
And you continue to escalate those skill levels. So again, it's a lot more gratifying. It's a lot more rewarding. It's all being tech driven, and they have the data to back it up. And again, so there's a lot more accountability, but put back on the player, because in a lot of circumstances, we did the research based on the pain points from our coaches and instructors out in the field. And it was just that they didn't understand or see the results based on what they were told to do when they were given that evaluation, and they come back next week, and there's really nothing, to evaluate, at the end of the day. On the flip side of that, many of you, or if anybody has been to Topgolf, their main thing is they're never satisfied, and they're really aggressive in terms of always putting in new game modes, especially if it's for families, couples, kids. At the end of the day, as much as we all think Topgolf is the future, they are very conscious that at the end of the day, there's probably about 1.5 visits in terms of someone coming out to Topgolf. So it's important to keep it fresh and keep new content out there that drives that traffic a little more often. So in the case of a lot of the games, Sonic the Hedgehog, Angry Birds, which if anybody's been to a range recently, a Toptracer range, I should say, that's something that we want to continue to implement, that is fresh content, that's engaging, because we can never rest on our laurels, right? And then we always want to be at a point to have something that is a continuous traffic driver for both, like I said, the core golfer and your family, your friends, your kids, all across the board.
And it's interesting because you would think of the PGA of America. You look at this logo back here, PGA show, and talking about PGA of America and Sonic the Hedgehog at the same time did not go together. But now Sonic is about to become the official game partner of the PGA or what have you. It's amazing how different channels have come together to make golf entertainment what it is, which is a huge business. And I'll finish with you, and I'll come right back to you as we finish up. Mark, when I looked at what it cost to do Toptracer and the terms that you had for individual courses to go in, it was mind-blowing. It was unbelievably low in terms of what you had to pay and the risk that you had to take in order to get there. Is that still roughly the same? I'm not going to ask for specific numbers, but
yeah, I think people
unless you want to give them.
No, I think people would be very surprised in terms of what that threshold looks like to enter the concept in terms of a Toptracer range. But I think it's interesting to see, to compare and contrast in terms of the concept that, say, Clark has created, that we think is kind of the ultimate Toptracer concept in terms of what he mentioned with Cover the Tees already. So number one, you're covering your bases as far as having an all-weather concept. You're having a place that is going to, like Don Ray talks about all the time, he wants to make sure that everyone feels welcome. There's furniture. There's a place to sit and relax. They've got a food and beverage operation. That doesn't have to be the case, but if you're really trying to drive revenue, it can be. So I say all that because there's really three components in terms of a very simplified monthly fee or monthly lease fee that's just associated with the overall size and scope of your range. You could do something like Cover the Tees that obviously has more of a CapEx investment on the front end. But don't take my word for it. There's plenty of people within the NGCOA that have done that and seen a quick return in terms of investing in Cover the Tees. And then the other stuff is just more ancillary things in terms of building our power and data infrastructure that actually has to go into the ground and power those cameras that kind of run the overall system. Right. But, how much you invest in that is truly up to you. Clark, again, is a good example in terms of being conservative and being mindful of saying, you know what, I know this will work, but let me not go all in just yet and have my customers dictate how important this is and how much traffic is going to drive by doing this portion of my range. Right. And sure enough, he can tell you the story better than I can. Right. But we were 18 months later and expanding the range.
And so, to me, this is a fascinating story of technology, golf making and technology working together to make something available for the public. And I'll finish up with you as we complete this section of Golf Business Live, you taking the risk, but taking the joy and going out and making these things available and choosing those elements of Toptracer that are available, making them available to different golfers. You've had tremendous success so far. What do you see as the next thing? What do you see as the growth potential in the product?
So, it was important to me to pick a partner that I knew would continue to develop their technology, and continue to invest in, not only the customer experience, but also the experience for our staff. Because I think that ultimately impacts the customers as well, right? Like if it's a seamless operation, they can come in, they can check in quickly, they can get to their bay, and the technology works well, and they continuously have more options that are present. They love that. And so for us, our goal is to continue to buy properties. At our second property, I have a good blueprint from our first property.
And the first property, forgive me for interrupting, your first property was in
Louisville, Kentucky.
And second property is in
New Albany, Indiana. So about 20 minutes north.
Right.
But apparently people don't like to cross the bridge over the Ohio River, so that's why we're okay being that close. But, we built initially 10 covered bays. At first it was a little bit scary just because there was some, investment involved, but the friendliness of the pricing and the partner in Toptracer just made it seem, like the risk was really tolerable. And now, we've added 16 more covered bays at that location. We have an additional 18 turf spots, so 44 total turf spots. And then we've got a 900-foot wide grass arc tee line. And so there's kind of like this harmony that exists at the range where we can address our people that love to hit off grass, they love to use the short game area, but then also have the option and not the pressure to use the tech-enabled Toptracer bays and the additional new bays as well. And so then at the second property, my first 2 calls are cover the tees and Toptracer. Get me ready to go by May 1st. This is what I need.
Wow. Amazing. I think what we see here is a technology that allows imagination to run wild, and there we have imagination running wild. And I say congratulations to you both for making that technology available and for what you're choosing to do with it. We can't wait to see what you do with it in the future. Where's the next one? Do we want to make it
Albany? New Albany's like, the next one after that? I don't know. We'll see. We're driving around looking, and we make a fun trip out of it. So we'll find them.
We'll stand by and wait. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Thanks so much for giving us some insight into this topic, and we'll look forward to talking to you later in the year and seeing where things are going. That's Marc Williams and Clark Burckle. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So stay with us. We're going to be right back with what's our next section? Inside Golf Business. I'm calling it Young Guns, okay? I'm calling it Young Guns. That's what it's going to be. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Young Guns. We're going to talk to a couple of leading heads in the world of golf, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what's coming next. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Golf Business Live. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Golf Business Live. Michael Williams, powered by Tagmarshal. This is a segment that's usually called Inside Golf Business, something like that, but I'm calling it Young Guns because we're very lucky to have a couple of guys who are just right at the, not even the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of where golf is and where it's going. I've had the good fortune to get to know these two guys over the course of the last couple of years, to work with them a little bit, and I'm just fascinated to hear what they have to say to you about where golf is and where it's going. Please welcome Parker Cohn and Jake Gordon. Guys, first let's start with you, Jake. Tell me about your company. Let's start with your company. Tell me about your company, what you do, and how you started, how you decided to start your company.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last few years. Yeah. And it's there's no better setting than the PGA show to get together. I think it's probably hour 48 straight, so low batteries, but we're going to kick it into high gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just a little bit of background on Noteefy.
Yeah.
We're really calling Noteefy demand technology for the golf course. What we do is we help the golfer more easily get onto the course when they want, using a system that instantly alerts them when their desired tee time opens up. And what that does for the golf operator is allow them to protect their most precious inventory and make sure if a cancellation occurs, the golfers will be there, their best customers can easily get onto the course, and they know that no-shows or last-minute cancellations won't impact their top line.
Okay, let's break it down a little bit more. Talk about the problem that everyday golfers have when they see what they're talking, the problem that you solve for both the golfer and for the golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. So our product is what we call B2B2C. What that means is our customer is the golf course, but the user is the golfer.
Right.
And there are really two different problems that a golfer has versus an operator that we try to think about. So first of all, on the operator side, golf, like the airline industry or the hospitality industry with hotels, has perishable inventory.
Right.
What that means is, if a tee time passes and there isn't a filled spot, the ship has sailed, and the operator misses out not only on the green fee, but on all the ancillary revenue, like food and beverage, retail, merchandise, and what have you.
And right, just to stop you for a second, unlike the airline ticket that you mentioned, the passenger hasn't paid already.
That's correct. Some courses do prepay. In the case of private courses, you may not have green fees, but we focus on the public golf space. And primarily in public golf, Many operators don't do prepay, and actually I'm a proponent of not doing prepay, but I am a proponent of making sure that the operator has a credit card and that they enforce their cancellation fee.
Interesting.
That said, one thing that was very surprising as we started to dig into the industry is many operators see up to a 20% last-minute cancellation rate, which was just staggering. So what that means is 1 in 5 tee times on the tee sheet is really at risk of perishing. And when you ask an operator, well, hey, what happens when inevitably a last-minute cancellation occurs? Really, the best strategy in some cases is just we hope someone fills it. There's a walk-up, maybe we get a call. Right. And we know that happens all the time. But when the inventory is precious and perishable, we come in with a strategy to help solve that last-minute cancellation issue. Right. So that's on the operator side. On the golfer side, everybody understands the frustration that comes with what we call smashing the refresh button on the tee sheet, calling the pro shop over and over, looking for your favorite tee time. If you're a busy professional, young family, or you have a job and maybe you can't get out there during the week, you can only play during narrow windows on the weekends. So maybe you can only get out between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. If you have a family, you have a soccer game, you have a brunch to get to. And those desirable spots for the golfer are really the best window of opportunity to get on. Yeah. So what we do is we automate the process of the golfer getting onto the course when they want at their favorite location, and we're big proponents of sending all of that business direct to the course operator.
And your business is how many years old and how many courses do you have? Because both of those numbers do not seem to match.
We are less than 2 years old, and we support over 600 golf courses.
Let me repeat that again. Less than 2 years old, supporting over 600 golf courses. It is absolutely phenomenal, the amount of growth that this solution has had. I'll say well done, put a cap on it there, and I'll talk about Parker, because Parker's doing something that's a little bit newer, a little bit fresher, but it's going to be just as impactful. Parker, talk a little bit about how you got into golf, number one, and then, of course, talk about your product and what it does for the golf industry.
All right, so a little different side of tech. I'm more on the golf course maintenance and operations side. So I regenerate the soil for golf courses, farms, and professional sports fields. And so essentially, so long as we monocrop, which is we play golf on grass.
Play golf on grass.
So long as we fertilize, which we push our turf to be dense and green and lush, and our greens and our tees to recover, we need to use chemicals, right? And so long as we physically abuse our soils, which is cart traffic on and off the paths, think compaction, think the areas that are worn down by foot traffic, think the practice putting green, for instance, right? All three of those things deplete or kill off the soil biology. So what I do is regenerate the soil with prescriptive biology, which involves diagnosing the problem, so pretty intensive physical, chemical, biological analysis of what's going on in the soil, engineering a solution, not just from a biology standpoint, but also an application standpoint. So our applications are, we integrate with the irrigation system and we inject hundreds of gallons a night. So, in Southern California, where we're irrigating, the majority of the year, we're putting out 1,000 gallons per acre over the course of a year, which is insane. It's a couple orders of magnitude higher than anything that's been done before. So we incubate and ferment live bacteria biology that is going to move the needle, that we prescribe for the specific conditions, and then we inject it at a scale throughout the course of the season. And we generally see improvements in conditioning, recovery, density, color, playability. Talk about performance. I know that we're at a golf show, but performance from like a green speed, firmness. When we have a healthier soil, we have a healthier plant. We can push the green speeds harder, in tournament conditions on Sunday, and then Sunday night we inject, 600 gallons of live active microbes, and Monday the course pops. Inside the ropes doesn't look like we had an event. So other things, probably why my heart's in it, is when you improve the health of the soil, you see a lot of operational efficiencies. So I've never been hired to save a golf course water. Never been hired to save water, but I've saved a number of golf courses upwards of 40% of water, monitored, verified, by third parties, largest water district in the country level.
And I know that you're very shy and humble, but talk about that, what that means in terms of money to a course.
Okay, so we've got a property, Brentwood Country Club, West Side, LA.
Yeah.
It's very close to where the fires were. You know, Riviera, just on the other side of San Vicente, was getting evacuated, right? And Brentwood's right there. So fire hydrants were running dry, losing pressure. Like, there was not enough water to fight the fires in Palisades. So when you talk about volume of water here, year one, we saved 20 million gallons of water. It's 36%. So much that they pushed us into a second year of monitoring, which we saved 40% of water, or 22 million gallons. So that has a monetary value of what they're not spending, right? They're not buying 20 million gallons of water, which is over $300,000 in that market. In addition, right, they didn't hire me to save water. They hired me to displace aerification.
To make the course better.
To make the course better, to displace aerification in the roughs where it's all packed down from primarily cart traffic, primarily cart rounds at this club. So a benefit of reducing compact, you have less runoff, you have less evaporation, you see substantial water savings, right? And so I process a rebate on the back end for these guys. We didn't even talk about water use for a year until I approached them with, you know, the rebate check was, you know, equivalent to the water savings. So, you know, over $300,000.
Over $300,000.
And this is particular to LA, right? This is particular to where we have a high cost of water right now. We see other markets. We see Vegas is a hot market for water right now. They're getting rid of their reclamation, like their reclaimed water sources that go to golf courses. Golf courses are going to be irrigating essentially with potable in Vegas, which is a big shift in the market. See Scottsdale, Phoenix, costs going up. Monterey Peninsula is insane how much they pay for water there, but yeah, I'm really water's where my heart is for sure.
I mean, and it's amazing not only the water savings that you get, but the quality of the course, how it improves. And in my simple mind, in order to make it something that I can understand, I usually think of it as probiotics for the golf course. You have probiotics in your body, you have probiotics that go on the golf course, and it's largely the same thing that's going in the body and on the golf course, and yet you get this tremendous savings and improvement of play. So I'll say to you, well done. And I'll go back to you. Jake, I've known you for a little bit, and I know if there's one thing I know is that you could do anything you want, basically. You could do anything you want is how I feel about it. I tell people, this is a guy, what does he do? He can do anything he wants, but he does Noteefy. Why choose golf? What about this business, this whole lifestyle, if you will, attracts you and keeps you into it?
It's an interesting question.
It is, isn't it?
I appreciate the compliment, and you know, the 5 is going under the table right now. You know, I didn't pick up a golf club until probably 2019. I grew up in Southern California, so the water I resonate with, the story there. I played baseball. I got into the sport of wrestling. I wrestled through college. I started my career, and I could barely spell golf, to be honest with you. I had no interest in the game, but you know, my father-in-law was a big golfer. He insisted on getting me one lesson because he said it's good for business. So that aged well. But ultimately, I got on the range. I hit a few around. I was a former baseball player, so I liked seeing a little ball fly pretty far.
As we all do. We all do.
But I wouldn't say it was love at first sight. I think as COVID came around, there was a palpable, just almost like golf euphoria that struck folks who were young professionals and looking for a way to connect with their peers and a way to get outdoors and a way to get some exercise. And I'd say it was serendipitous that around the time of COVID, many of my closest friends had also stumbled their way into the game of golf. And we started off, you know, early COVID, weekend warriors, maybe, you know, during work from home, getting out there around 3 or 4 o'clock, sneaking in as many as we could. Yeah. And I would say I fell in love with the game. Truly, I fell in love with the game. It became a passion. I'm someone who likes to throw myself all the way into things. And when I got into golf, it felt so natural to have a game that truly was not a game and a sport, but a passion, and something that you could talk with your buddies about after the round, the shot that you hit that you felt really good. You could have 4 double bogeys in a row, you get 1 birdie, and you're feeling like you're on top of the world.
Right.
You know, it's rage, it's euphoria, it's everything in between. And so I just fell in love with the game of golf. Knew nothing about the golf business, but my day job, I got to work with startups all day. I was working for a big company called Accenture, and at Accenture, I was on a team that supported our startup partners and ecosystems. And I had about 60 startups across a bunch of industries I supported. And so I knew a thing or two about emerging technology. And when I got into the game of golf as a passion, I very quickly started to see the customer experience and journey from a fresh perspective. And I saw what other industries were doing, and I loved, you know, the innovative capabilities in healthcare and in biotech and even in the restaurant industry. And I was just a little curious why there were some big gaps that I thought I saw in what the customer experience should be, both as an end user and then for the course operators who, as I started to get to know folks, seemed like they were yearning for new capabilities to help them better run their facilities.
I mean, and you, Parker, so Jake, you saw the experience, as it were, off the course and decided, why can't we make change? And you saw the experience on the course, literally with the course, and said, why can't we make change? So it's kind of similar for you, because I don't think you're well, you play a little bit, but I don't know how much do you play, Tuck?
I play maybe once a month.
Once a month, okay. But you hit it pretty good.
Pretty good, just not always the right direction.
There you go.
It goes a long way.
Right
Former
postage.
baseball player as well. I'm sure us on the golf course would be dangerous.
We say right postage, wrong address.
It would be dangerous for the folks on the fairway to the right or the left, I think.
Yeah, very safe.
But to get back to the point, you have this ability to see what's going on the course, to see that's there and say, well, this is good. And what everybody would say is good. A place like Brentwood, a place like Pasatiempo, which has been another customer, and say, everybody else would say, this is good. But you went out and said, well, this could be better. What drives you to do that?
So I can't play a round of golf without taking half a dozen photos at least of, you know, soil agronomy stuff that I want to come back to later and remember, use it for presentation, talk about it, talk with somebody in the management about it, you know, what I'm seeing, how we can make this better. Like typically you see, I'm an engineer, so I went to school and studied engineering, so I love to solve problems. So on a golf course, you know, there are plenty of problems to solve, whether it's, you know, compacted areas, carts on, I mean, there's so many different areas of applied technology here that we can improve the game, not just the experience of getting there and taking out the frustrations of, you know, if you want to play golf and the pro shop's not picking up and they're booked, you got to go hit a bucket of balls and hope there's a cancellation, right? Like, for me, why do we have to sacrifice density, color, playability, playing conditions when we can improve all those, reduce our costs, increase our revenues, you know, drive rounds, displace things like aerification, right? Where now we're not shutting down a course, we're actually making revenue when we otherwise, you know, had zero revenue, and bringing on full team to manage the facility to perform the work, right? So I just see golf as a, you know, many problems to solve, and soil, you know, as a medium to improve the efficiency, the experience, the playability, the performance, you know, at the end of the day, make the experience better.
We're going to talk a little bit now about stuff that's a little bit tough, so we're going to get into it, which is the people who say no to you. Because not everybody said yes. A lot of people have said yes, but some people have said no. Why are they saying no, and what's going to make them say yes in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, maybe in 6 months?
Yeah, there's a saying in the startup world, which is, are you selling a vitamin or are you selling an Advil? And what that means is, if you're talking to someone who has a headache, they do not want a vitamin. They want an Advil to solve their problem. And ultimately, I think what it comes down to for the two of us is, do we have conviction in the problems we're solving? Do they really move the needle for the course operator? If the answer is no, it's very hard to get a course operator to separate with their hard-earned funds to solve a vitamin problem. That's not something that gets a course operator excited. So for us, you know, thinking about parish revenue, thinking about an uncomfortable customer experience, operational inefficiencies, what we've found is operators get excited if we can prove that we can solve those problems in a meaningful way. So at the beginning, we had conviction in the customer experience because we're customers. We could relate to that.
Yeah.
But as we started talking to operators, they bought into this idea that we could help both drive new revenue and improve that end operator and customer experience. So we had one muni, then one small MCO, and we just kept anchoring on the folks who believed in us, many of whom I've seen at the show,
Yeah.
and that family continues to grow.
Yeah. That's a fantastic answer. And so it leads up to you because, you're selling vitamins. You are selling vitamins. I mean, there's a group of people who you're selling to who you're saying, we're going to take you, and if you're not healthy, we're going to make you healthy. And if you are healthy, we're going to make you extremely healthy. What do you think is going to be the linchpin for becoming a few very important people, a couple of very important people who benefit from their customers knowing that they're doing something like what you do, implementing something like what you do to make things better? What do you think is going to be the linchpin from where you get it to be that few people who get it to where a lot of people say, aha, I get it. I can be healthy too. I can be healthy.
Good question. So the value proposition really starts for us with why we're here. We're here to make your golf course better and to make you more money. And then here come the questions, right?
Right.
Here come the questions. And the sales a little more complicated on the agronomy side. You generally have, you need a round table of folks just for one facility, right? Particularly when you have a regional agronomist, head of agronomy, a superintendent, a GM. Sometimes somebody from the Greens Committee or president wants to be involved with it. You have a lot of decision makers that you got to get at the table, which is one of the biggest challenges that I see in the sales process. That going on 8-9 years.
Sure.
That's one of the biggest things is you've got to have buy-in across the operation, across the facility. Now to your question of what is going to take these early adopters and make the mass, bridge the gap to the more broad general public. I think, the more success stories that I have, right? Every project is so meaningful to make it successful. Like the lights, camera, action, every single project, right? Deliver. So that, for one, to continue to have that reputation in the industry, working with these top, handful of top 100 golf courses that everybody knows the name of, that really helps. It's really, I see there's opportunities coming up with regulation. There's a lot of chemicals that are going to be taken off the market in the next 10 years, and that's already starting conversations, with multi-course owners and operators.
Yeah.
That's a concern, right? That's a concern. Water restrictions, the drought in California, right? We're in perpetual drought. We had a couple wet years, but by no means are we in a surplus of water. I mean, you look at what just happened with the Palisades fire, for instance. We had fire hydrants that were losing pressure. We didn't have enough water to fight the fire in areas for firefighters. So I think the public awareness of water use on golf courses and the pressure from the public, thinking about the folks that are driving by a luscious green golf course that just lost their house and their neighborhoods and everything. Like, there's going to be pressure from the public to save more water, to be more efficient, and all of this efficiency that we provide to our customers is beneficial. It's going to make you more money too. It's going to make your golf course better, and it's going to make you more money. So I think, the more time goes on, the more success stories we have, and some public pressure and some legislative pressure on the chemicals that can be used. I think all those things are going to work to our benefit, and we're here to help. There's folks out there that are here to help you with that and navigate those changes and make your business more profitable and your golf course better.
So as we finish up, I'll finish up with you, Jake, because I know a little bit about your growth pattern. Is basically 4 times whatever you say you're going to get in one particular year is what you end up getting in a year. It's been quite incredible, the level of success that you've had, the level of acceptance. As you continue to grow, what's going to be the factor that's going to make people start calling you instead of you having to call them and make appointments? When they start calling you and say, hey, Noteefy, I need this, I need that. What's going to be that linchpin that makes it them calling you?
I think the most important thing is talking to operators every single day.
Yeah.
We're lucky to work with hundreds of fantastic operators. And one thing I think we really pride ourselves on, especially on the product side, is always asking every day, what, if you had a magic wand, would you want to do to make your life better on the course side or on the golfer side? And that's where our product roadmap comes from. We listen to operators, whether it's a $17 municipal or it's a $710 resort. We have everything in between, and I would say we're obsessed with making products that get golf operators fired up about the future of their technology landscape. And so for me, as I think about our future, we have, we had one great capability that came to market that got us here. I think we have another one that's going to get us to the next milestone, but we don't have any plans to stop solving use cases at the course operator level that's going to make the future of the game, hopefully, a little bit more sustainable and help golfers get on the course.
Well, I can't wait to see what you have coming next. I can't wait to see what you have coming next. I can't wait to see what he has coming next. Henry, do you want to say anything? Is there anything you'd like to? No? Okay, yeah, I get that. Look, what you guys both have brought up is tremendously exciting, tremendously something to look forward to, really. And I can't thank you enough for being here with us this time, for spending this time. We're going to have you back on when we get in the digital format, and we'll see what you got going on and what you see for our future, because I think you see it clearer than most of us. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Parker. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much.